Cool. We're live. Not really live, but we're recording.
Okay, perfect.
How you doing today, Moushumi?
Good. How are you, David?
I'm doing great. Thanks again for doing the podcast.
Absolutely.
We somehow crossed paths at the event, the speaking event, and I did not meet you, but
I know.
it's an honor to meet you now.
Thank you. Same here. And thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I feel privileged to be able to do this and, talk about myself, my pathway, and my business. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this platform is all about, is promoting yourself. And
Perfect.
yeah. So I guess with that, tell me a little bit about yourself, your business. Actually, just tell me a little bit about yourself. And like, were you born and raised here in Lansing, Michigan? Where are you from?
So, David, I was born in India. I came here when I was 24 years old, and I got...
Can you move that closer? Sorry, just move it slightly closer, the microphone.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
okay.
fine.
Can we start again? Because
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was born in India. I came here as a young adult. I went to school at Michigan State and then got registered as a dietitian and have been working since then as a dietitian. And before you ask me, I'm going to answer what sparked my interest in nutrition. Growing up in India, I would notice my mom specifically when we had minor injuries, we were running a low-grade fever. Typically, we would not go in and get medicine. We would just use, or mom would just use her kitchen cabinet to get medication for us. Now, when I say medication, I just mean herbs and spices and things like that. Growing up, as I was going to school, it really somehow sparked my interest, and I would then ask my mom. For example, turmeric milk, which is called golden milk and is so touted for here, is something we grew up having all through the winter months in India. It was a common thing. And when I asked mom, she would always say, hey, it's going to protect you from cold, so, build your immunity. So, again, that sparked my interest in natural healing through foods. And then, so I did my bachelor's and master's in India in human nutrition. At that time, it was not very common in India. Anyways, then I came to this country, I got married, and I came to this country, and I did my MS again in human nutrition because it was my passion. And I was taught very young by my dad to work where our passion lies and not just work for money. So that was where my passion was. And then I got registered as a dietitian. I worked in hospitals. I worked for the county. I then, when I was pregnant with my oldest, I was looking for something part-time instead of doing an 8-to-5 hospital job. And at that time, one of my professors, in fact, from Michigan State, she offered a consulting position with a company that was looking for a consultant. And I started my first consulting with a long-term facility here in Lansing. And then that just grew. I did work part-time when my girls were young because I wanted to spend time with them, give them the time, and then expanded my consulting business with long-term facilities, hospice, home care. Then, as I was expanding that, a few of like our friends, family, they would approach me with individual needs. And so that is when I opened my own LLC, which is Dietitian Moushumi, and got my website started. And ever since, I have not stopped, David. So that is my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the American dream, right? Like that's the ideal dream where somebody comes from another country to go to school, get a degree, and follow their passion and start a business and then be successful. And that's the American dream, right?
Yeah. And I feel very blessed to have been to be privileged to have been doing where my passion lies and to make a difference. I think the field I am in, I can make a difference in people's lives. So that makes a huge, huge impact on what I do.
Where did the passion for health and nutrition come from? I mean, obviously, growing up in India, you kind of witnessed that. I mean, I'm sure like growing up in India and in any foreign country other than the United States, health and nutrition's I think a little bit more. They eat healthier generally, right? Like
Who you mean?
healthy eating's done more frequently than like here in the United States. There's not fast food. We don't have they don't have the junk food like we do.
Yes. So I will tell you a story. My first awakening when I arrived in this country, I came in and my eyes, I'm almost bald because I can't remember. I think it was McDonald's or whatever. And the portion sizes were like humongous. So I was like, and I was new to this country. And I looked at my husband and I said, is this for me or is this to be shared? And he said, no, that's for you. So you're right. That, that's sparked some of this interest too. And then I was like, as I, again, I'm a person who does a lot of research too. So as I was doing my research and looking at the community overall and looking into people's food habits, I realized, David, that most people tend to eat out like, that's the norm versus how I grew up, where eating at home was the norm.
Right.
Eating out was once in a while.
Celebrating
yes,
something.
Exactly.
Right.
So again, those are the changes I wanted to make through my profession. Let's put it that way.
So coming from India to the United States, what did your eating patterns and lifestyle look like? Did it change? Did you find yourself eating out more than what you typically would, or
not really?
No.
I still strongly believe the pattern or the way we eat is something that's set when we are young. That's one reason why I really push young parents, parents who have younger kids, to make sure their kids are trying different cultural foods, foods with different textures. We're cooking more at home because I want them to grow up with that because then they are more apt to be doing that later on in life.
Yeah. I mean, eating is like the number one cause of so many things and so many problems in this country.
Yeah, it is. I think eating and the whole lifestyle of, sitting, working, not moving around as much, using cars to go anywhere. I think those are some of the basic
Taking
things.
the elevator instead
yes,
of
exactly,
instead
of
stairs.
walking around and things like that. So yeah, I do think the food and the pattern in which we eat. When we, for example, when a family cooks at home and does family dinners, it sets a regimen for the child or for the whole family. It makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
Is my thinking. So I'm big on that.
That's awesome. So when somebody comes to you and they want to change their lifestyle, they want to change their eating habits, what does that look like for you? Do you sit down and interview them? What does that situation look like?
So ever since David COVID started, I have been offering mostly virtual, which has worked out very well because then we are flexible, both my client and I am. I think the reason if I can say so, my business is so successful, I always run a waiting list. So
Wow.
I think it is because I try to work with the person's lifestyle. I do not, for example, if you came to me, David, what I would do is send you an initial form, which is a pretty detailed form, which tells me everything you do starting from morning to night. So say you are a person, I'm just saying, who loves a cold breakfast in the morning. I might be like, okay, we'll work with you. We might do smoothies and top it with the cereal in the morning. Or if you're somebody who does hot breakfast, how can we make maybe higher protein pancakes even? So I still will keep your food preference. I will take into consideration your lifestyle, what you're doing, what time, for example, a nurse, she might have, or he or she might have 12-hour shifts. And so they have a very different lifestyle versus somebody in IT
Right.
might have a set lifestyle and they're sitting all the time. So then, we are talking about, and even as a dietitian, sorry, I'm kind of changing pathways. I'm talking about 4 quadrants, which to me encompasses the whole lifestyle. What are the 4 quadrants? One is diet, of course, that's the main thing. Exercise, number 2. In exercise, I also bring in movement. Okay.
Like work.
Exactly. Yeah. Movement meaning, I need to get up. I need to get up and take a walk, even if I'm sitting in front of my computer. How do we do that? How do I incorporate some movement? With exercise too, it's the same thing. I don't want exercise to be a punishment. I'm not looking at a short-term thing. I want it to be like a sustainable change. So that's something I look into. Then I look into stress factors. What are our stressors and what is that doing to our life? What can we do to reduce stress? Can we spend some, that's where I might ask what your morning ritual is. Do we have even 5 to 10 minutes of my me time? Or can we do some meditate? There's many different approaches. Just giving you some example.
What kind of things do you prescribe for that? Would it be like you said, meditation,
yes,
yoga,
I am big,
those kind of things?
Yes, I'm big on yoga, meditation. And then overall, once we clean our eating patterns too, I've noticed stress levels go down. Because whenever I'm seeing a new client, I do have them fill out like a food fluid. With that, I also have them fill out like a mood pattern. And you won't believe this, but 90% cases, they tell me how much better they're feeling about themselves. So,
What does the typical client look like to you when they first come in? What's their diet typically like? Is it just junk? And then they're
not always. Some people are on regimented, are pretty regimented, they're good. And they might just come in because they might be like, Moushumi, we want to make an improvement from where we are. There's some that I also do like couples, and sometimes they might come in saying they're getting older, they just want to incorporate some changes in their lifestyle. Then, of course, I see people with, say, diabetes or higher cholesterol that want to, cut back, have better lab results.
Right.
And of course, I have people that I help reach their weight goals. I hate to call it weight loss. For me, as a dietitian, I feel like health is inside out. My weight is a number. I'm not saying it's not important. What I'm saying is it is very important for me to make sure, your energy is at like your optimum level. You're feeling the best you've felt. And yet, clients that want to lose weight, they've lost their weight, but they just don't dip it because it's not one of those marketing gimmicks where, I'm like, cut those carbs, cut the fat, cut this, no.
Right.
We are still following the pattern that you were doing. For example, you might have a set pattern, right, that you eat in. And I'm going
super regimented.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I will go ahead, say if you came to me, what I'm going to do is try to tweak that plan so it still works for you because, again, I want to make it a lifetime change.
Yeah.
Not like a, couple months or something and
right.
then, you're back to square one. So.
Yeah, that's the problem with looking at it from like a weight loss perspective is that you get addicted to watching those numbers drop and then you start to lose like your physique a little bit. Like I've recently lost like almost 15 pounds within the little less than a year.
Wow.
And mainly because I've been running like crazy. Yes. I'm training for a marathon, so
Love it.
I'm just shedding the weight.
Yes.
But I'm still weightlifting, so I'm able to still lift the same amount of weight.
Sure.
I'm eating a little bit more lighter. I used to eat steak and eggs for lunch every single day. Now I eat chicken and rice. So just eat, changing up those habits,
Yes.
like has tremendously served
Helped
me.
you,
Yeah,
right?
helped me.
Yes,
And I feel
yes.
better. I feel a lot
yeah.
better because like one of the things I was doing was eating steak and eggs, and then after lunch I'd have this crash. Like I'd have this energy crash, and I'm just like, oh, like I need to do something
Exactly.
different.
Yes. Versus now with having your carbs in there,
Yeah.
you're probably not feeling that crash.
No, I feel
because
good.
yeah, you feel good. And then load it in with lots of vegetables, fruits, whatever, and you've got a nice balanced
Yeah.
meal. I mean, I know for my daughter just ran half a marathon.
seen that.
Yeah. And then I have some people in my client load, that are doing different kind of things. Anyways, protein is very important, but carbs are also equally important
Yeah.
because, if you go on a all protein diet, it's not, like you said, you're going to feel that crash.
Right.
Like, boom, so.
Now, what is your thoughts on like specific diets, like a keto type of diet or like a carnivore type of diet? What are your thoughts on those?
Those are not sustainable diets, David. I have had multiple people that have come to me because they are what I like to call diet failures. Those are like all these yo-yo diets,
yeah.
And granted, do a keto. Or
Why do you think that is, though? Do you think it's because of the discipline, or do you think it's the fact that they are kind of like starving themselves of having the things that they kind of want sometimes?
So it's both, David. One is many of these diets, I'm not going to name any, but I'm just going to say many of these diets might tell you to take one macro away completely. Now, there is a reason why our bodies need carbs, proteins, and fats, right? So suddenly, say I put you on a very high protein diet, it's going to create some stress on my kidneys. So there's many long-term effects. So people fall sick from following these different diets. I say eat everything in moderation. Of course, somebody that has diabetes, I'm definitely going to look into the carbs and see how much of whole grain carbs even that they can have. So things like that. But when we are doing one of these marketing diets and, we are losing like 10, 20, 30 pounds and feeling really good, we are not sustaining it. I can't tell you more and more how much of this I see. And it's sad that people come to me after they've tried those diets. I'd rather they come to me before. But of course, we don't market it like they do.
Right.
Because they're sitting there, that's what they're doing, is
Right.
marketing their different diets. But again, it is harmful for your body to not, until and unless there's a specific diagnosis, everything that a dietitian, as a registered dietitian, I say, David, is backed by science. I'm not saying it because I'm saying it, right?
Right.
Versus,
It's not your personal beliefs.
yeah, versus somebody who's claiming they're like a nutritionist or something or whatever.
Right.
They're just basically Googling it and, saying, hey, you can't eat this, you do this, have so many grams of this, whatever.
Right.
So,
That's what I do. So do you work with macros at all?
yes, I do. I do work with macros and, see where a person is. I will tell you, though, I am not, and I tell people right in the beginning, I'm not like a number person, because a number, when, like you said, just even with weight, it can be either very disheartening or it can be like, go, I need to do this.
Right.
Versus, even if I am like tomorrow, if you gave me your food recall, say I did a 24-hour recall, I would be, of course, gauging, again, because this is my profession, I would be gauging your calories. I might gauge how many grams of protein you're getting. But what I'm looking along with that, which is super duper important, is the quality. Okay? For example, you could get so many calories from a donut. You could get so many calories from, say, a multigrain bread. But the multigrain bread would be so much more healthier because it's got the fiber
Right.
versus
Less sugar.
exactly no sugar versus a donut. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So these are the things I look for, the quality. Like,
Right.
Am I doing so much of red meat versus am I doing more fish or plant-based proteins, things like that. So it's a whole circle that I'm looking at.
I got my blood work done last year, I think in September, and my cholesterol was spiked because I told you I used to eat steak all the time.
Eggs,
A
yeah.
steak and eggs. That was my diet. I did like
Gosh.
pretty much a carnivore diet,
Oh goodness.
and it was pretty high. I don't know what it is now, but I'm sure it's a lot lower.
Oh, I'm sure it is. If you've changed, so I will tell you this. I give this example to a lot of people. I had a 70-year-old woman that came to me, very motivated. That was there. We reversed her blood sugars. Of course, things like diabetes or even high cholesterol. Maybe we cannot completely reverse it, but we can keep it at bay. So if a 70-year-old person can do it, many of us can. It's about the mindset change. A lot of it is about changing our mindset in, hey, this is what I have in my plate. I'm going to enjoy this food. I'm going to look at my plate. So I do a lot of therapy work too with my clientele. I have them look at the plate, kind of gauge what's in the plate, see how many colors is in the plate. Am I getting different fruits and vegetables, different kind of grains? There are so many grains out there. There are so many herbs and spices and so much in there that healthy food does not have to taste not so good.
Well, the thing is too, is like once you start eating that way and you develop this pattern of like eating healthy, you start craving those things. And whenever you do eat something like McDonald's or something, you're like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do to myself?
Yes.
I just poisoned myself.
I know. Oh,
it's
my goodness.
terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, it's the gut microbiome. I'm sure you know all about it. If you eat bad things, that's what you're going to crave. If you eat good things, that's what you'll crave.
100%. It's just like in one of my lectures, I was comparing alcohol and sugar, So the more sugar we do, the more craving we have for sugar. The less sugar we do, we have less craving.
Right.
So you're very right. It's what we are eating and what our bodies are used to, like water, one of the most basic things, right? But if I didn't drink enough water, my body tells me because it's used to that hydration level.
Yeah.
So it's things like that.
My boss, like 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, he was like asking me what I was drinking. I had I think I might have had coffee. It might have been first thing in the morning. I usually drink like 8 ounces of coffee. I don't drink anything more than that. But he's like, oh, I drink coffee all day. I haven't drank water in years. And I was like,
What?
Years? Like,
Goodness.
I was like, what do you just drink coffee? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I never drink water. I don't like water. I'm like, dude, you need to start drinking some water.
Yes. He needs to see a dietitian.
And he took my advice. He started drinking water and he's like, I feel so much better.
I say something as basic as water. Seriously. I mean, you don't have to make it. It's free. It's available. Guys, drink it. Drink it. It makes such a difference, starting from gut to mind to skin to hair to everything, to your joints. It makes a huge, huge difference. So get that water. I mean, it's available. I would never leave home without a water bottle. That's my number one thing. So I always carry my water bottle. And that's a simple, one of the simplest steps. I always tell everybody, drink your water. And you, go ahead.
Now, I was going to ask a different question, aside from the water. When do you do any work with like any athletes or anybody who do extreme physical activities? Do you help provide diets or plans for them?
Yeah, I do some. Now, my niche, like I said, is primarily weight goals, cholesterol and diabetes. I actually was in, when school was on, I was at the different Lansing schools providing kids, I like to call them kids, with not meal plans. I was trying, it was through junior achievement, but I had the best time trying to help these kids make sure that they were eating, that they were nourishing their bodies. So then I met with a few athletes. And like I said, I do have a few clientele who are athletes or who are, for example, training for, say, a marathon or a half a marathon or things like that.
So what would a meal plan or nutrition plan look like for them?
Basically, again, it would be different for different people because I would base it on like your height, your weight, and how much training are you doing. But I would definitely look at protein. Protein is important. Quality of protein.
Is there a way to measure any of this to see like what they need specifically?
What do you mean measure?
Like to measure their intake.
Yeah, I can
and
always.
The benefits of it.
Yeah, I can always, for example, I'm just saying, say, I tell you, David, I want you to have about 20 to 30 grams of protein every meal. And then I'd give you a chart and tell you exactly how much that would be. So that way you have an idea. And that could be coming from plant sources, animal sources. Now, I myself like to do the combination of plant and animal because I just see the benefits, so many benefits of plant proteins. So I would provide you with that. Again, say you came to me, I would, provide you with a plan, again, that is based on your lifestyle and what you're training for and so on. So.
Right. Now, when a client comes in and let's say they want to lose some weight, how do you measure that? How do you measure that if they're getting the right amount of nutrients over time?
Okay. So what I do, David, typically, I will give them, I send them a food, fluid, mood, my log. And I say that as their homework. And I have them log in what they're eating and drinking. And they send it to me every Friday. So Fridays are my days that I actually review everybody's food fluid. And then based on that, I will give them my feedback. I will tell you the program I'm running right now is a 3-month program. The reason I'm running that is because I did a lot of research and, ran different programs over the years. I've noticed that lifestyle or what we are eating, whatever we are consuming, it is a mindset change. So a mindset change does not happen in one visit. I've noticed it takes about 3 months. Now, once they're done with the 3 months, most of the time, if they're not, I still have my accountability program. But typically the first 3 months, if they've worked with me, they've changed their lifestyle enough that they are most of the time successful in carrying that over. So coming back to your question of how am I measuring it, I'm not measuring it, but I'm gauging it. And what am I gauging when they are sending me their food, fluid, for different people, it might be different things. Like for my diabetics, I will have them write down their blood sugars, or fasting blood sugar, things like that. And what I'm gauging every week is what we are doing. And then I will send them feedback based on what they're doing and say, hey, maybe can we get another serving of vegetable here? Can we do, another 20 minutes of weights? Different things, that different people do, of course. So I'll do that, and then I'll meet them. The first time is my longer appointment when, I sit down with them. It takes about an hour where we go through, like I said, I have a form that they fill out. I review the form even before I see them. Then we sit down together and we go through each thing one by one. And then I see them every couple of weeks because I want to make sure they are making the progress that they're supposed to. Or, if they're having difficulties, I always tell them, I'm like, there is not just the one thing, okay? Oh, I do not like fish. I hate fish. There's something else, it's not a one thing. So I've got many ideas, many things based on, what you like, what you don't like. So yes, and that works out really well. By the end of 3 months, most of the time, they've lost some weight, definitely. They might not have lost a bunch of weight, like, again, because they're doing healthier lifestyles, but they lose good amount of weight. And I think most all of my clients stay in touch with me over the years, and then they keep saying, Moushumi, I'm losing so much, because they've picked up the lifestyle that I want. That is my main interest, is to make sure they've picked it up, and now they're going to follow through with that.
Now, when you say that they changed their lifestyle, they changed as like they started working out more, they're eating healthier. Is that what you mean?
Yes. And then quality of meals.
Right.
Portion sizes, quantity of meals, exercise, relaxation methods, sleep times, food times, meal times, because sometimes in some professions it's hard, to have consistent meal times. So I might teach them, how can we still make it work? I might teach them simple methods of meal planning or prepping, so life is not as hard. And I'm not thinking on my way back home at like 6 o'clock, what are we going to eat for dinner? And then I'm going to just go out and eat. Because, we have it planned. It's all done. I have a meal plan in place already. So it just takes away that stress also.
Yeah, that's one thing that's helped me tremendously is meal prepping for the week for just work. I mean, just like making my lunches for the week. I'll grill some chicken and make some rice in the rice maker, whatever.
Yeah, the rice cooker. Yeah.
And then I'm good. I'm good to go for the week.
I still do. Even to date, I do not think I could do as much as I do if I didn't meal plan and meal prep. Everything, my whole week is kind of, it might not be exacting, but I know, like, I'll do meatless Mondays, right? Taco Tuesdays. Like, I know what I'm doing through the week. So that way, then I'm, getting my groceries accordingly over the weekend. And then have a plan, and then I've prepped, I've like chopped my vegetables, maybe I've, put them in little jars. I've got frozen stuff. I'm a huge believer in batch cooking. So all of that we go over in the 3 months that they work with me. And then, like I said, by the end of 3 months, most of the time, they've got it. They're doing well.
What is the greatest success story that you've witnessed in your program or in all of your time of helping people lose weight and change their lifestyles?
Gosh, well, I'll tell you about this gentleman. It was a case of auto accident, and he gained a lot of weight, and he weighed over 400 pounds when I first met him. Wheelchair bound, so exercise is limited. So he is somebody I have worked with for a long time, over a year now. And the good part is, David, he's lost over 100 pounds, of course, as we worked together, weighing at about 250 now, which is great. He's able to drive back now.
Wow.
He couldn't do that. He was staining his deck. These are, and the vibrancy in his face at being able to do those things just makes my day. And I don't think I can actually cite one successful story, because every client is not a client to me. They mean something to me. I do this with a mission.
It's a passion.
It's my passion. It's my mission. I want to make a change. I always tell them in the first appointment, I'm like, listen, you and I are a team. We will do this together. And doesn't matter what, if you have a question or anything, you text me, you let me know. I want to make the difference in their lives. And this, that just came to my mind because that just happened recently. But many, many stories like that, stories, like I said, 10 years later, people have texted me and gone, Moushumi, it just makes my day. It just is so rewarding, right?
Well, I mean, essentially, you gave somebody that, not you specifically, because they're putting the work in, but you
Right.
gave them the tools necessary so
Yeah.
that they could have their
Yeah.
life back and
Yes.
live a
Yes.
fulfilling life.
Exactly.
Because I mean, when you're super overweight like that, it
Oh
hinders
my
you in so many
goodness.
different ways. Like you
So
can't do things that like somebody who's smaller doesn't even think about. Like
yeah.
I have a friend who's severely overweight. He lost a lot of weight. With him and I trained together. I helped meal prep for him for a long time. He lost like
Yes.
over 150 pounds, and then he gained it all back just because he stopped.
Yeah.
And but like the thing is, like one of the things that he wants to do is be able to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. But he's so big, he's like, I can't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like
Exactly.
those kind of things that you just, like I
Exactly.
wouldn't even think about.
I know.
He can't
I know.
do.
We don't. You're so right. You know, there are little things that we don't think about that somebody who is overweight or has so much body weight.
Yeah.
Little movements are harder for
Right.
them. Starting from like joints to everything.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I think the biggest reward for me was when he came back and says, Moushumi, I've never felt so energetic.
Wow.
So that to me, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because he was just so heavy. It was so hard. He always felt tired,
Yeah.
just tired. And then just making those changes has made
That's amazing.
such a difference. Yeah.
I always tell my wife, because we both work at General Motors and
you do?
we work
Okay.
on the assembly line. So it's
Yes.
physical all day long. You're
Yes.
just constantly going and going and going.
course.
And we both work out. We eat healthy for the most part, most generally.
Yes.
And I have energy, but like there's a lot of people there that are severely overweight. They drink Mountain Dew all day, smoke cigarettes, like they just
Yeah.
everything you're not supposed to do, they do.
Yes, they do.
Drinking
They do.
energy drinks. I'm like,
Yes, yes. And the
like-
more you do it, the more you're going to
Yeah.
fall in that vicious circle.
right.
You know,
Yeah, I try to stay away from energy drinks because they're addictive,
very.
especially like the healthy ones, like the healthier ones.
Mm-hmm.
They you feel like you're doing something good, but you're not.
No, you're not.
No.
I always say whenever you're having a packaged food or a drink and it has more than 5 ingredients in it, don't do it.
So if it's not water.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I'd rather, seriously, I'd rather you mix in some salt and sugar in your water, make your own like lemonade if you want something sweet. We all crave sweets.
Yeah.
Rather than have those cans of whatever gunk
Right.
is in there.
Yeah.
It's just not good long term.
No,
it
it's
is
not.
good.
No, I mean you have all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
What does going off the rails look like for you? Like whenever you want to like eat bad or do something like I don't know, little let loose. What do you eat?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I eat everything, David, starting from ice cream to cookie to everything, but I do that in moderation. And if today you told me, say, we're working together and you go, Moushumi, I had a cookie. No big deal. Who doesn't have a cookie, right?
Right.
It's something that's part of our lives. Food is comfort also. What I would say is, how did we do, David, throughout our week? Did we maybe have an apple with the cookie? And did we have break our cookie and not sit and have like a big cookie or sit with like this whole bag of chips? Very often people might tell me, and more than sweets, for myself, I crave salty, savory things.
Yeah.
So say I wanted potato chips, just saying, I would definitely satisfy my craving. So I would get potato chips, but I would just get like a small bowl of potato chips. I might cut up some cucumbers or something with it and then have that. Instead of sitting with a bag of potato chips and having the whole thing. So that's the difference. So yeah, I honestly, I mean, if you ask me, I love different texture of food. I love different foods. I try everything. The only thing that I don't do is red meat. But other than that, I do, but I think I do it in portion control.
Right.
I just, and I've gotten so used to it that I don't even have to think about it now. I could possibly do like a small cookie or, break a bigger cookie and I'm good with that. I just,
Yeah.
it satisfies me and I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's something that I've had to learn a lot about because I would do these crazy diets, like I'd do the carnivore diet, and then I would
Yeah.
have a cheat day or something, and then I just
Yes.
feel bad about myself.
Yes.
And it's like, and then that's what spirals people out of control is when they
Exactly.
have a cheat day, then they're like, oh, I already cheated, so I'm
Yep,
gonna
yep.
continue cheating, and then they just fall out of that pattern, and then that's in a lot of ways why those diets aren't successful.
Not at all. And that's what leads to a lot of eating disorders too.
Yeah.
Specifically in like the younger clientele, because, they just then view themselves as failures, because then they're not able to follow through and just, oh my goodness, I'm failing at this. No, no, no. So we don't want to set those kind of patterns
Right.
in anybody. Enjoy everything, eat everything in proportion. And, another part is to savor everything we eat. In our country here, what we tend to do, I think it's always such a fast-paced lifestyle we lead that we are, sometimes eating lunch on the go. I'm working and I'm eating. No, no, no. It's okay to take my 15 to 20 minutes to sit, enjoy my lunch,
Yeah.
and to look at my plate, to see what I'm eating. Because otherwise, say, I'm just saying it's, we're sitting in an office and people have bought in food. I'm eating, I'm attending the meeting, I'm eating more.
Yeah.
I need to know, how much am I eating? Am I eating thoughtfully? Am I thinking about it?
Right.
So those are some of the things I kind of look into, or I try to do myself too.
I laugh at that because working at GM, we used to, when we
Yes.
had 3 shifts, we would have 24-minute lunches. And so you would have to go to the bathroom, you would have to fill up your water, warm up your food, and then eat your food within 24 minutes.
Oh, goodness.
And so and I started when I was 18. So I formed this habit of where I just scarf my food down as fast as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
So now when I go somewhere, when I go like to a restaurant or something,
Yes.
I'm like just shoveling
Just
my face.
eating everything quick.
And I could tell, like I've caught people staring at me like,
Like,
dude,
what is he doing?
slow down. And it's a problem. It's a huge problem. But that's something I've tried to actively slow down and take my time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm glad. I think that makes a huge difference. Dinner time, family time, taking that time, and also plating our foods versus getting everything down and let me just keep eating to nobody's
Yeah.
end. Those are some of the simple tricks that we can incorporate to just even start on a healthy pathway.
Yeah.
So,
So what does a typical day look like for you as far as diet, nutrition, and exercise? What do you do?
So typical day, I wake up, I drink my lemon water, which, I like. So I make sure I'm hydrating. I do that, and then I spend some me time in my meditation, yoga. I have some music, calming music that plays in the household. And then we start with breakfast. Like I was telling you, David, I think our children follow through with a lot of things we do, and I feel blessed both my girls are extremely healthy. So my younger one is back home from college right now, and she's been making these, I don't know if you've been following on social media, but she's been making these awesome smoothies. Love it. Lots of fruits and vegetables, and they taste so good. They taste so good. So yeah, I do that, and possibly some nuts or something. And so we do our breakfast, and then of course, depending, because I work at so many different places. So if it's a day for like a nursing home where I might be doing the charting for my nursing home clients, that would be different. Versus if I'm doing my one-on-one clients, that also is virtual, but that's something I would do. I, of course, always sit with my huge bottle of water, making sure I'm hydrating. And I also follow what I'm telling my clients in the sense I'm making sure I'm moving around, doing all of that. And then typically I try to log off or get done by 4:30. And that's when my dog comes down. She knows mom's done. So then we go for a nice long walk, which is therapeutic for me. And then, we get ready for dinner. which is, I like to say, is fairly balanced. Now, in between this, I do try to do some cardio. I try to do some weights. And I'm trying to think. So yeah, that's a typical lifestyle. Weekends, I do meal plan and prep quite a bit. Get my groceries. I have to be, or I am, I think, very organized. Things have to be on time for me.
Yeah.
That's very important. And I think that played, David, a huge, or had a huge impact on my lifestyle, because that's how I grew up, growing up. Things, lunch would be at a certain time, dinner would be at a certain time. We do, for example, always get dinner done by 6:30, and I try not to snack after that. So that, helps me stay in the regimen. For example, in an hour, 2 hours, if I needed to go work out, I would do that. So things, yeah, like that. And later in the evening, that is, again, my me time, where I do my research. That is a big part that I absolutely love. If I don't do that, I don't feel good. So I do my research, because nutrition is a changing science.
Yeah.
So I belong to these different groups, and we kind of bounce off ideas, and then I read whatever the latest research is on whatever. And that's how, if you notice, we publish our blogs or on social media. I have students who work for me.
Really?
Yes. But then, whenever they're posting anything or doing any of that, I'm giving them the ideas. So that's how we are setting things. I also write my own books, ebooks. The reason I write that is for my clientele. So if you go on my website, you'll see I have a bunch of ebooks with meal plans, recipes, ideas. It's for, people buy them off my website too, but it's also for my clientele. So in between, I'm giving them something to kind of keep them encouraged.
Right.
Like I'm giving them these recipes, like, hey, let's try these recipes, Or if somebody is on, say, on an anti-inflammatory, I have an anti-inflammatory book that I've written. So I'd be like, let's try some of these recipes from here. So things like that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool. I did want to ask you one more question about fasting.
Yes.
What is your opinions on intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting, I have a few clients who are doing it right now. And I say, as long as the rest of the time, say you're doing, like say 12, 12 or whatever, 10, 14. Number one, I feel like the time where we are eating, you still have to eat healthy to kind of, follow through with your intermittent fasting things. I think I've seen fairly good results, specifically in people who are kind of like me. If they follow certain routine, they're able to do it. Now, there are some clients who just cannot, who can't follow that routine. Or I have some clients that I would need to, we would do a snack just because otherwise their blood sugars dip and then they just
Right.
don't feel good. So it very much depends person to person. I think fasting is good as long as we are not overdoing it beyond so many hours. I just feel like it's too much. And then I hear these stories of people who are fasting for, say, 16, 18 hours, and the rest of the time they're eating whatever, they're on site. And I'm like, no, that's not going to, work long term
Right.
again.
Yeah.
If it's something that works for you, meaning 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
To keep that fast. And if you like, I've noticed, especially with even some of my weight loss or weight goal clients, they do very well with it, because then they're like, okay, after this time I just don't want to eat anymore.
Right.
They're having a good, nourishing dinner,
Yeah.
and then they're done. So
That's I've gotten into fasting. I fasted for a few years now, but when I first
Wow.
started,
Yes.
it was pretty strict. It would be like 16:8 or 16:8 is what, and I still do 16:8 for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I necessarily follow exactly anymore. It's something that, like, I know. I mean, I'm in a regimen schedule because I work at General Motors, so
Sure.
lunchtime's always at the same time every
Yeah.
single day. So
Yeah.
that's the time I eat every day is lunchtime.
Right.
So what, like, let's say on a day off, like on a weekend, I'll I'll just eat, like I'll work out and then I'll eat after that or something. I'm not necessarily focused on eating at
Yes.
11 o'clock, but I
Yes.
just eat when I'm hungry.
Right.
So, so I don't necessarily stick to the 16-8 anymore, but I've seen huge benefits.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you? Good.
Yeah, I've
good.
lost a lot of weight doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And not that losing weight's not my goal,
No,
but
no,
it's
no,
just like
but it's
I
just-
actually can maintain that way.
Yes, yes. And I say it's all about maintenance. If it's something that you're able to maintain, there's nothing wrong in it. Like, for example, for me, after 7 in the evening, I just don't like to eat anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm good because I've had a really good dinner. And my body doesn't need. Not to say 10 years from now, if I feel like I'm really hungry or I'm starving or my body needs it, I might do it again.
Right.
And just like you, David, say over the weekend, we have an invitation, we are going somewhere or eating out or whatever, and if it's say 7:38, I would.
Right.
But typically, I try to get dinner done. That way, we are not eating anything after that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, Moushumi, is there anything else you would like to promote on the podcast or talk about?
Not really. I think you got it all covered, David. I just, I love that you do this for local businesses.
Yeah.
Thank you again. And if I also, the only other thing is I do one-on-one clients. I also offer group sessions. So if ever anybody's interested in that, or if there is, like you were saying with GM, there's companies that I do wellness with also. That's been a lot of fun and they love it.
Well, you should definitely get like a contract with General Motors because there's a lot of people that could
not
use
eating
it.
right. So yeah, I am contracted with a few companies like that. So things like that. I think we are good.
Okay, awesome. And then your website will be in the show notes, so I'll put the
Perfect.
link there.
Yep.
Awesome.
Perfect. All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.